All right, so here is the Excel spreadsheet I put together listing every single payment I made towards my student loans. I started repaying my student loans in August of 2016. I graduated back in May of 2016, and I started my full-time job in the middle of June. Now at this time, I lived with my grandma, and so I did not pay any rent. I did not pay any utilities. All I had as expenses was pretty much my food expenses. Everything else was paid for, and that's why I was able to put away and pay off so much in these initial months. So August 2016 through November 2016, I lived with my grandma, and I was able to put away, as you can see, almost $3,000 a month, sometimes more. So I paid really almost half of my loans off in those couple months when I was living rent-free. Then in December of 2016, I moved out into my own apartment. So the first couple months when I moved out, my payments went down, but I was still putting a lot of my income towards student loan debt. And another thing to note, even though my rent and living expenses were higher than when I was living with my grandma, they were still pretty low because I live in Texas and I live in an area that is really not that expensive. So I'm very lucky. I was paying $700 or $800 a month for my living expenses, which I understand is very, very inexpensive relative to other places. So just noting that. Then again, you can see all of a sudden it starts spiking in the middle of 2017. And that's because I got a tax refund. I got a really big tax refund that year. And so I started making bigger payments for those couple months until I depleted the tax return. And then it started going back down again. And then finally, at the end, it was sitting at about $1,000 a month I really was putting towards student loans. And I finally paid off the last one on December 11th, 2017. And I paid $900 that month. And so here's the chart showing the loan in the order that I received them. These were the loan amounts. These were the dates I paid them off. These were the interest rates, and this was the interest I would have paid if I had paid it on the 10-year plan. And so you can see the total loan amount was this, little under $27,000. The total interest that I paid was a little under $3,000. But if I had paid it on the plan, I would have paid almost $7,000. So I saved between $3,000 and $4,000, I guess this amount right here, $3,800, almost $3,900 by paying it off as fast as I did. And you can see here, again, the total amount I paid and what I would have paid if I had paid it on the 10-year plan that I had. So I have the month and year. I have the total amount paid. I have the income I made that month that I brought in, my take-home pay, and I have the percentage I had put towards my loans for that month. The months that I was living at home without any rent or other expenses, I was putting crazy amounts of my income towards loans. I was putting pretty much 3 paychecks towards my student loans per month when I had the opportunity, and that is really what helped me pay it off so fast that I was able to pay nearly half in those few months that I was home. I understand that I am very blessed to have had the opportunity to live at home post-graduation. I appreciate my family and I appreciate my grandma for letting me stay. But at the same time, I did have to work and be smart with my money to pay that amount off. I couldn't have done that without being focused and determined on paying off those student loans. The other thing you'll notice would be like, how in the heck did you pay 90% or almost 100% of my income went towards student loans these months? Well, I wasn't budgeting. So when I looked at my actual bank statements, I had actually spent more than I had earned that month, but I had just such a large buffer because I was also putting away 10% almost every month that I didn't even realize I was spending more than I made. So that just goes to show, had I started budgeting earlier, I may have been even more successful or came out with more savings than I did. And over the whole time frame So between August 2016 to December 2017, I made $68,000. I paid $30,000, and that came out to be about 44% of my income over that time frame is what went towards my student loans. And I broke it down by year as well here. So you can see 2016, I paid almost $15,000, so almost half, which is what I said before. I had brought in $20,000 because I had only worked 6 months of the year, give or take. Over those 5 months, the income I made in those 5 months, 70% went towards student loans. And then you can see once I moved out, it kind of sat at around 30% that went towards my student loans. So these green marks are when I paid off a loan. And I did the Avalanche method. So you can see here the payoff date. The first one I paid off, this loan one, was the highest interest rate, and it also happened to be the highest amount. So I paid that one off first. The next one was this loan, which was 4.66%, and also a significant amount. So I paid off that one. Let's see, the next one looks like this one. So 4.66%, paid it off. The next one is going to be one of these guys, right? Yes. So for some reason, I paid off the lower one first, the lower loan amount. My guess is because one was subsidized, one wasn't, and I was confused at the time, just being perfectly honest. So I paid off that one first. So I paid off the higher amount, but still, again, going by interest rates. And then between these two, I paid off, again, I paid off the lower amount first and then the higher amount. But whatever the case may be, I was just putting, like clockwork, at the start of the month, I would do my minimum payment amount, and then I would schedule basically every Friday. Either every Friday or once a week, I was scheduling to have money come out of my paycheck and go straight towards it. And same thing. So you had this one. This was the loan payoff amount. And then like clockwork, same thing. Minimum every Friday. Minimum every Friday, so on and so forth. Beginning of every month, I had this on auto pay. So that came out. I was never late. And then I would set just 4 payments and I was done. I came out probably as soon as I got my paycheck, and that was it. So that was another thing I did, is I almost automated my payments, and that was very helpful. Last but not least, I wanted to kind of show you this chart that shows what my payments looked like over the months. So again, it peaked and then it really dropped, and then it peaked again as tax refund, and then it dropped, and it was pretty steady right up until the end. I mean, it was a grind. I was just blessed with a nice starter income when I came out of college, and I put it to work. And I was just very diligent in this sense. This is it, you guys. This is exactly what I paid when I paid it. And you can tell it took me 2.5 months to do my first loan, about another month and a half to pay my second, and so on and so forth. I mean, this is real life. This is the method that I did. This is how I did it. I hadn't been tuned into the debt community. I was just a super saver. I don't like debt at all. I don't like taking it out. When I actually got into college, I cried because it was so expensive. Like, it's sitting at $50,000 a year practically to go to the school I went to. Luckily, I had some scholarships and some other things, but I paid $30,000 out of pocket. I think my parents paid probably $30,000 to $60,000 out of pocket as well, and I think a little bit of the other bit came out of inheritance from my other grandmother who passed away before I started college. So when it comes down to it, I appreciate that I was very blessed to have the support that I did. And I also acknowledge that I was very blessed to only take out this amount. I know a lot of people take out a lot more than that. But at the end of the day, I also did work hard to make it happen. And so I hope that this is at least helpful for you to see how I did it in terms of the actual payment amounts and how I decided to tackle each one, how I basically just ground it out, made it a habit, and that was that. And I also hope that this encourages you to get on a budget and get on a plan, because I think having that focus and having a plan of attack is also very helpful. My plan was basically I wanted to get rid of this, so I was going to pay as much as I could a month, and that worked for me. But if you have an actual plan of attack, I think that's really helpful as well. But that is it for now, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support, and let me know if you have any questions. I'm always happy to help you guys. Bye!